Also for Garth Tander that we saw coming into pit entry. He's with Greg Rust.
Just down here in the Valvoline Cummins garage with him now, guys, and just describe what the grip level was like as you came into pit lane. Was there oil down? It seemed as though there was.
No oil down. Just no grip, and just went in a bit hot and overshot and had a trip through a sand pit, but no big deal. We got it going again. So
were the rears starting to go away on you at the end of that stint?
Yeah, they were going away a little bit, so we'll probably make a change. Made a small change then at that stop. We'll probably make another small change when I get back in. But the car's really good on full tanks, but as the fuel load comes out, it gets a bit lively in the rear, so we'll just work on that during the race.
Pretty staggering early pace. Just cast your mind back for us. Give us your side of the story on the clash with Brad Jones early.
I don't know whether Brad, he just ran wide on a couple of corners and Scafie nipped through, and I had to go down at the elbow, the same place where Scafie got through, and I thought he saw me coming, and I just got up the inside, and obviously Brad didn't see me there, and we came together, and around he went. So I hope they got going again, and they're not in too many trouble. But yeah, I thought I was far enough down there. But anyway,
time for a bit of recuperation. Thanks, Gar.
Thanks, mate.
Racing incident, as they say.
When you come off the racetrack and you've been accustomed to a certain level of grip in the cars, and you go into the pit lane approach, it's dusty and grubby, and it doesn't get the rubber down like the racetrack.
The other Orcon Ford car 20 of Johnson and Wade goes wading through the grass at the chase, and also a report from the stewards that car 888, Andrew Jones and John Quillen, pit lane speed violation.
Ella is pitting, and so is Brad Jones, so this is critical for both these two.
The top four will start to shuffle in now, and the deck will be completely rearranged because we're on lap 33, so the fuel window effectively of how far you can go on 120 litres is starting to run out.
Tell you what, Murphy and Lowndes are still out there, though. That's 32 laps completed, and they haven't come in for fuel.
Bow slips in. You see all the brake dust rattle out of the wheels then. It's Kim Jones on the fuel in his bank robber balaclava.
Brad Jones changes over to John Bow. Greg Rust is on the spot.
Well, Brad's just gotten out of the car. They're telling him to reset something on the dash for John Bow before he heads out. We might have a word to Brad here and just find out how that car was during the stint. Was it okay for you?
Sorry, I didn't hear anything.
Go.
An interesting stint. How was the car for you?
Well, you know, it was a bit hairy at the start. I mean, I couldn't believe that Garth was dicing that hard at the start, but, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, racing's racing, rubbing. It didn't really didn't affect us too much. We caught back up again. The car's pretty good. It's got a lot of mid-corner understeer, and it's floating over the corners, and I'm not sure how we can clean that up during the race, but once I got back in touch with the leaders and I could see them, I could sort of feel I could run at their pace. I just had to be patient, or we got to move.
We got the other car coming in, the other Aussie Mail car coming in. That might be for a...
Yeah, that's the drive-through, Rusty.
Yeah, I just got caught in traffic. You know, once you get back there, just got to really be patient, work your way back past them again. And, you know, I had a bit more speed than the two or three cars in front of me. And when I dropped back, I thought I could run as fast as Murph. So, let's see, long race.
Brad, quickly, you didn't come in when the safety cars came out for a splash of fuel. That's a crucial move?
Well, you know, it was half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. Just decided that it was better to try and run to 4, stay out. You know, we're out of sequence with most of the others now. So we'll just see what happens. I really think it's too early to be topping up. I mean, it does give you a safety measure, but we needed to stay out of that mess in the middle of the pack. I was already in there. I didn't need to get any further back. Thank you.
They pumped around 115 litres by our count into the Aussie Mail Falcon, so that's a full top-up. And John Bow, a two-time winner here on the mountain, is now behind the wheel of car 21. And the race is certainly on. The top 4 have now started to complete their compulsory pit stops. Take a break from the mountain, be back with more right after this.
Welcome back, and you're just in time as our race leader, Greg Murphy, makes his first pit stop of the afternoon. Driver change here with Rick Kelly, the youngster, jumping in. Craig Lowndes is still out on the circuit on lap 35 now. Bearing in mind, we've had a few safety cars, so they may be able to run a little bit longer on that fuel loading initially than they would have thought. Greg Rust.
Tyres look in good condition, guys. Just waiting for the remainder of the fuel to go in. It's done. Rick Kelly strapped in, and he's away.
Go.
Rick Kelly rejoins.
Fuel, reset fuel pump to main, fuel pump to main.
they had the reserve pump on to get the car home. So back to the mains, reset the fuel button on the steering wheel, zero the fuel so they can see the burn through this stint. Readjust the brake bias, put some bias towards the rear because you've got weight over the rear tyres, and pick the rear bar up to stiffen up the rear of the car to cope with the nearly 100-odd kilos of fuel on the back of the car.
Is that standard practice for the teams to switch the reserve? You want to draw your fuel load that long?
Some people don't run them anymore, but there are some teams that do, and you rehearse it during the week so you know when you get a cough how far it's going to go. Generally, you make sure that your reserve's got a minimum of a lap, possibly two, to obviously get you home.
Taking that fuel load.
According to my calculations, this car's burning about 150 to 200 mil less per lap than some of its nearest rivals, and that could be actually critical as the race burns down. I reckon that 200 mil a lap here is going to work out to be a pretty impressive.
It is when you add it up over 161 laps.
Matthew's picked up a water bottle in here and he's showing me what 200 mil looks like, as if I can't work it out.
Well, if you can graphically explain what I'm showing you, which is a third of the 600 millilitre bottle of water that I've got. Daryl Beattie, make some sense, please, can you?
I guess, Steve, you can't be much happier with the first stint like that.
No, to start 11th and bring the car back in third. The car's just going fantastic. You know, the team have given Luke and I a great car here today, and the time showed that. We're able to pass quite a few quick guys, and it's feeling really nice. I'm smiling at the moment, so hopefully Lukey can go out there and do the job now and bring the car in a similar position, and if we're there at the end of the day, we can go for it. We just want to stay out of trouble, and like we did at Sandown, and try and stay up the front and on the same lap, and if we can do that, we'll be in with a shot.
You made an adjustment to the car when it came into the pits. What was that for?
Yeah, I'm just hurting the right rear tyre a little bit too much. The times that they're pushing at, it's just hurting the rear tyre, so we just made a little bit of a rear right-eye adjustment, I guess you could say, just to try and get the back to stick on the road a little bit more. We can do that manually during a pit stop, so hopefully it works and gives us a little bit more time and helps look after that tyre.
All the best for the rest of the day.
Yeah, thanks.
Lowndes is coming in this lap. He's just recorded the fastest lap of the race, a 9.4, a new lap record. They dropped the rear roll centre on the Ellery car. I picked that up on the radio. And he was slow out in his stop. He had too much throttle angle when he tried to drive out. And when the car has too much throttle percentage as you're trying to get it out of the garage area, they get into a misfire and it wouldn't launch away. And he actually dropped a position there, but he's settled down in his rhythm now, has Ewell.
36 laps completed for Craig Lowndes, getting ready to hand over.
Change. Remember, radio out, and don't forget to plug Glenn's radio in, mate.
Impressive economy.
He's reset the bars already. He's gone rear bar full hard, and he's burning about 3.2 litres a lap. He's another 200 mil a lap better off.
Murphy.
Yeah, so Bradley's is the thirstiest car of these key cars, and then Murph's about 3.4 litres a lap, and these blokes about 3.2. And I'm basing that around 115 usable litres of fuel.
It's going to be critical as this race unfolds. That fuel burn rate, 200 mils, doesn't sound like much.
Jeez, he didn't mess around coming into the pits, did he? Now he knocks it back to 40 k's an hour. A crucial moment of this race, especially in terms of history, because Glenn Seaton is about to jump behind the wheel for his 20th Bathurst start.
Well, it's looking fairly slick at the moment. Nothing major happening, obviously, just the obvious things. Tyres, fuel, driver. One thing I have noticed that's rather interesting is that under the deceleration of pulling up in the pit, most of the cars coming in here are having debris fall back out of the air intake in the radiator. Everything they've picked up along the way, or a lot of it, is just running back out onto the road under the braking here. So fair bit of debris out on the track.
Big problem with the right rear there. That delayed the stop. Fuel is always the governing factor with pit stops, but there was a problem. They had to change guns, so maybe they had an air pressure problem with one of the nitrogen bottles, but that really delayed that stop.
Glenn, make sure you're on mains as well, mate, with your fuel.
Grant Kenny, you got something else on that stuff?
It was interesting as they drove off, one of the hoses from the front right side the Air Jacks was hanging down, and initially it got caught in the door as Craig shut the door. Then it was left as the car drove away, and very nearly hooked up on the rear wing, which would have created a similar problem to what we saw here some years ago.
Lowndes' car was on its reserve pumps on that lap as well as he hit the top of the hill, so they're stretching that fuel load right to the end. Impressive though, 37 laps banked.
Would have been bone dry when they got in there. Now the job belongs to Glenn Seaton. So everybody's been in, done the changes.
Slow stop though, that will have hurt.
Filled her up, including the man who started on pole position. A very, very impressive start to this race from Greg Murphy. And I think Murph can hear us in pit lane. Everything going to plan?
Yeah, mate. I can hear you, Matty.
How are you feeling? You'd be okay after that session because no hiccups, no drama, no nothing.
No, it was very good, and we really just wanted to pace a fairly average pace. We weren't pushing too hard, just trying to save a little bit of fuel there and see how far we could take it. But it was pretty comfortable. There was no dramas, and we were cruising.
Hey, Murph, I was a bit puzzled early in that stint. There was a lap there where you punched out an 11.1. It looked like all of a sudden you lost some rhythm and pace, and Scafie got by. Was there a problem, or was that a deliberate easing off of the car?
No, I just eased it off. I let him pass up the straight, just backed her off early, and let him through. He was obviously wanting to lead, so I let him go and just stuck in behind him. It was just too early to be trying to push and race, so we just sat behind him and see what everyone else was doing, and the pace was pretty good. And as I say, we were just pushing it, stroking it along, and saving some fuel.
That's horribly sporting of you, old chap.
Oh well, you know, it's a long race, Neil. You know.
Now, Murph, how are you confident with the performance of Rick Kelly throughout the week? Are you pleased with his lap times?
Absolutely. You know, Rick has just done the best job. He went on, I think yesterday morning was the first time he went on a new set of tyres, and they were ones that I'd used in qualifying. Before that, he'd been using our practice tyres and doing a great job. Did everything we asked of him, and put in some good times when he was on some good tyres. You know, he was pretty happy with it himself, and we're certainly happy with him. And you know, he's a great young talent, and we've got the utmost faith in his ability.
Speaking of tyres, how's your car looking after them?
Yeah, pretty good. It actually, the safety cars sort of changed the balance a little bit. I think it was after... there was one stage there where the car was just beautiful to drive, and then it sort of went off a little bit for a while, and then it came back again. So if you just gave them a little bit of a break, they seemed to come back quite well. But, you know, as I say, we're cruising along around 10 zeros, and, you know, I think we probably could have done, you know, half a second quicker if we wanted to.
Okay, mate, enjoy the break. And I know that yesterday was a part of history. Thanks for the memory on that one too. Awesome performance from Greg Murphy in pole position at 2:06.859. The whole of pit lane was standing and applauding, a standing ovation at the mountain. But now their mind is on racing, and we understand that car number 4, Marcus Ambrose, and Russell Ingall is due in for a stop.
Luke Youlden's down to an 11.2 on this lap. Oh, look at this. This is a problem. Now the whole front splitter on the car is flapping, so it must have lost one of the security bolts around the side there, and that's a drama that will negatively affect the aero balance of the car, and
just vibrate itself to pieces too if you leave it like that.
And Ellery was on the radio earlier talking about some strange noise.
Well,
maybe related.
Here is Rick Kelly at the wheel of this stunningly fast Kmart Commodore. Had to drop back in the queue a little bit after their stop, but very, very competitively placed at the moment.
Rick Kelly's last lap was an 11.7, so he's still settling in at the moment.
The order: Jim Richards, Stephen Richards, Russell Ingall, Dean Canto, Mark Skaife has fought his way back from that drama. He's up in 5th now. Paul Wheel, Warren Luff, Hossack in there too. Manassian up in 9th spot. Rick Kelly,
despite a drive-through
penalty, that's a good effort by the European team. And Rick Kelly, who has just got back into 51, he's up in the top 10. So this car is due to come in pretty soon. Pertec Falcon.
He's in behind Stevie Richards at the moment. The Dunlop telemetry gives you a pretty accurate picture of what it's like to do a lap round here in race conditions. It's a little less frantic than in qualifying. You don't have that same lateral grip edge that you have in qualifying. You can't throw the car around quite as aggressively. But it's amazing how, as this day wears on and the track rubbers up and you get in the rhythm of your car and you understand your motor car, how you pick up your flow across the top of the mountain, and it continues to build. And you see usually these great speeds in the latter part of the afternoon. People that sometimes were battling to do a time early in the weekend suddenly realise how easy it can become later in the weekend, and it's all about flow here, not slowing the car down too much, not overdriving the car and clenching your fists around that steering wheel, knowing where the car has got to be around the corner rather than on the spot. It's about looking ahead.
Another lap at least for Russell Ingall. These guys salvaged the trip to the dirt at Sandown and finished up in 5th position. Campbell Little talking to Russell Ingall, so possibly another 2 to 3 laps. There's Stephen Richards in 2nd position. The PlayStation 2 race score shows you that Stephen's dad, Jim, has the race lead at the moment. 2nd, Castrol Commodore. 3rd, the Pertec Falcon. 4th is Canto and White. 5th is where you'll find Mark Skaife with Todd Kelly. 2 compulsory pit stops completed. 6th is Jason Bright and Paul Wheel. The great race rolls on at the mountain.
We'll bring you the final round of the championship from Suzuka, Japan, after the podium presentation, where Michael Schumacher is at short odds to take his 6th title. But you never know, he's 14th on the grid, and the only man who can stop him, Kimi Raikkonen, is 8th on the grid. Quick mention of a couple of big performers so far in this race. Dean Canto from 17th on the grid, running 4th at the moment. In fact, he's just slipped down to 5th. Mark Skaife has got through. Paul Wheel, 15th on the grid, running 6th at the moment. Manassian and Magnussen, with that drive-through penalty, started 27th on the grid, but are running 10th at the moment. And Darren Hossack, good performance from Ford Performance Racing this afternoon, 25th on the grid, 8th on the track, 9th in fact now, as Rick Kelly goes through for the Kmart Racing team. Some great efforts there, as there always is on the mountain, surprises and good performances.
And on the PlayStation 2 race score, when it flips over to the next page, you'll see in 11th position is car number 6, Craig Lowndes and Glenn Seaton. Lounsey joins us now. Gee, you sucked it dry, CL.
Yeah, pretty much. We really didn't know. Telemetry actually had gone down in the pits, so the guys didn't know how much fuel was left. They just had to keep running until it topped. But the boys made sure that I had it on the mains, not reserve. So look, it took a little while to pick up the reserve bit, but look, the car was good. As the fuel light was coming out of it, the car was getting faster, and look, I was comfortable. The boys had a little bit of a slow pit stop, but we'll back that up.
Tell you what, Craig, even you're on your reserve pumps toward the end of that lap, the fuel economy of the car is very good.
Well, it is. The boys have been working pretty hard on that side of it, because really this weekend is the most important for fuel economy, and to get through with 4 stops and 5 stints is very crucial. So that's what the boys have been working on.
Thanks, mate. Catch up with you later on as we turn our focus further up pit lane, and car number 4 is coming in. So Russell Ingall has completed his first stint. You see just something hanging off the front of the Caltex Pertec Ford, and it's just some sealant coming out of the front of the lid there. Now Marcus Ambrose is in. Russell Ingall is out. Darrell Beatty's there.
Yeah, just watching this all go through, guys. Everyone cleaning the front of the radiator. Marcus in. They've caught something here. It looks like a piece of string that was obviously on the track that was caught around the bonnet clip. They've taken that off. That's what was hanging off the front of it. They also made a slight adjustment to that roll centre as well. Away they go.
26.6.
To make sure the brake bias is set correctly, Marcus, check your bars.
That's about bang on target for the fuel fill.
Russell was complaining of problems with the right front tyre, so I suspect he had some little flat spots on it there late in the stint. So Ambrose inserts into the race, lap 44.
The man who leads the championship. 5 victories overall in season 2003, and that is car 33, Nathan Pretty and Alan Simonson.
And that was either just coming in or has just gone out of the pit, because I heard Pretty talking. Look at the damage of that car.
Keep an eye on the temperature.
Oh dear, and there's Jason Bright and Paul Wheel's entry. The Team Brock car is a wreck.
Paul Wheel at the wheel.
Okay, mate, you're going to have to come in this lap, mate.
So big impact at the S's of obviously, and it's also involved car number 69 of Dillman and Jones.
There's a heap of oil on the road there too. This is exiting the Dipper.
How many more victims of...
Well, it'll go all the way back up because you'll see somebody is speared through the dirt, exiting Skyline, dragged it all the way across. That's where we find car 33.
Already had a major incident at exactly that part of the circuit. Jason Bargwanna and David Brabham earlier in the race.
Man, he must have gone in there really heavy because look at the damage at the front.
Let's have a look.
This is the Dillman entry. It goes on a bit of a dirt excursion, and now there's a whole heap of rubbish left on the track. And whammo!
Yeah, it's because he...
And then crunch! Oh, car 50!
Nowhere to go. How frustrating is that? How frustrating is that?
Wouldn't have seen a thing, would he?
No.
Big cloud of dust.
Happened so fast. With all that dirt and garbage all over the road, it'd be like driving on ball bearings. And Paul Wheel, hapless victim in that. He had nowhere to go with the track block.
Driver change, Kelly in, Scaife out, car 1 in.
44-lap stint for Mark Scaife.
Combination moving further and further up. Estimations on our pit smart telemetry.
Nathan Pretty had no option there. He's just come around the corner, and from a grippy tarmac surface, all of a sudden he's found himself in the middle of the Bathurst Rally with that much dirt on the road.
Paul Wheel made it halfway up pit lane.
And I guess we should make the point, Neil, that dirt is like gravel. It's like ball bearings, isn't it? You get on that, you just got no control.
Rusty.
Slight drama getting the front left off the car 1 entry. Scaife is out, Kelly in, as you mentioned, but car 50 has expired coming up pit lane here, so a couple of cars had to take a little bit of evasive action. They're pushing Paul Wheel up pit lane right now.
Not at a very good time either. Look at the amount of cars coming in and taking advantage of this situation. So, as a Team Better Electrical...
What this does is hurt the people who took those early stops a little bit. It's going to completely shift the strategy again.
Chain of events started right here. Car 69 takes a straight line through that. Car 33 behind. Uh-oh. And then watch this. Car 50.
He's just come through a wall of dust. He wouldn't be able to see anything in front of him.
You've actually got to question the value of that sand trap because it doesn't actually stop cars. I don't think I've ever seen a car stop in there, but I've seen tons of dirt dragged out the other side. It's actually a little bit questionable, isn't it, when you think about it?
Probably better off having a bit of bitumen there or something. Robert Jones was at the wheel. Now, here's the Super Cheap Autos car. We saw that front spoiler flapping in the breeze. They're going to take advantage of this safety car period to fit a new one.
They've been giving Luke Hilton a bit of a hurry up as well, haven't they?
Yeah, his lap times have been laxing compared to lead driver Steve Ellery, so they're giving him the hurry up.
Here's Paul Wheel.
Well, he's getting out. Now look at the amount of damage on the front of that car.
Darryl.
Yeah, I'm down here, guys. Obviously not happy camper. Paul Wheel's just jumped out of the car. Also an update on that Ellery car. The front spoiler, they've changed that now, or the splitter. The other one was carted out the back. The whole bottom of that had worn through. So that's why we saw that flopping down the bottom of Conroe. But this team here, at the moment, just staring at this car. It's a big mess.
And that can be an issue if you run too low a ride height, and if it's scuffing under brakes and across any of the curbing or bumps here. It's one of the issues that teams monitor very carefully. They paint the underside of the splitter often, and they measure, they look where the scuff marks are, and they measure the amount of wear, because obviously the last thing you need to do is wear through it, and it's carbon fibre and it's easy to wear through it. There's a very broken one, and it's the front wing. It's part of the downforce component which balances the car, keeps them in the performance window, and if you end up without it, you're in plenty of strife.
It's always been a bit of an issue with that Super Cheap Autos car. I remember looking at that at the Clipsal 500 earlier this year, the debut of the BA at Adelaide, and that front spoiler was hitting the ground quite often. So fortunately they've got it taped up. They've got a new one in place. Bit of the magic tape on the right-hand side as an extra security. Now he's going to speed up, join the back of the queue, which is queuing up behind the safety car. But Luke Youlden's got to get his head down here. Stephen Ellery's doing some great times early in the race, and he's got to maintain the pace. Robert Jones. And he was the man who spread all that dirt and gravel all over the course. This is race control. Tim Schenken, race director there, the man in the middle of screen, Colin Bond. Driving Standards Observer to his left. Garth Wigston in there too. And these men stand here for the full length of the race, directing traffic.
There's a fair bit of traffic up the top of the mountain that wouldn't normally be there, and by that we mean tow trucks, medical cars. Robert Jones wondering what happened. Well, it's a mess. It's been that way plenty of times before. Our race leader is car 2, Tony Longhurst and Jim Richards.
Oh, I reckon you have to have a look at that gravel trap up there off the end of Skyline, Billy, for a start, because I'm yet to see a car actually be pulled up by that lump of gravel, and it's only ever caused a whole lot of problems with people dragging dirt onto the circuit. So maybe they could put a bit of bitumen down there. It might be a safer option.
Let's just remind you, the SMS competition, your chance to win $5,000 if you're a Ford or Holden supporter. You've got to be one of either of those. If you've got a mobile phone, check out this. Let's not crunch those numbers for now. Let's crunch some numbers out on the track. We're trying to get hold of Marcus Ambrose, who's circulating under the yellow flag. G'day, mate. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, mate, no problem at all.
Now, I want to ask you about tactics. Are you pretty much on schedule, given that we've had 3 yellow flags out now, and of course a lot of the teams have had to make their strategy on the run?
Well, just my luck, mate. I get out in the track and the bloody safety car comes out, you know. I was looking forward to getting stuck into it. But it hasn't changed us too much. We did an early stop, and I think it's paying off now because we're already in the front of the queue pretty much on position, even though we're not on the road. And, you know, we're really excited that we've got a pretty good balance right now, and we're just going to tick over the next 60-odd laps and see if we can get to the front for that last fuel stop.
I understand we've also got Mark Skaife on the line down in pit lane. Mark, what's your take on the state of play at the moment?
Yeah, look, it's been a pretty tough start. I didn't expect to have that many safety cars in the first part of it, guys, and the car for us, we got caught up with Bargwana. We had a lose getting past one of the Pertec cars, and that was a bit of a drama for us, but the rest of the time the car's been very, very good.
Remember, this is a family program. You got any advice for Marcus Ambrose? Because I think you guys can hear each other.
G'day, Marcus.
G'day, Mark. How are you, mate? You've had a bit of trouble this morning.
Had a little bit of a drama with one of your Ford colleagues, buddy. How's your thing going?
Yeah, mate, I don't feel sorry for you, I've got to say.
Yeah, I could see you had a tear in your eye.
Mate, we're going okay. It's such a long day, you know. It's done my 3rd start at Bathurst, and I learned hard the first 2 that you've got to be there at the end and be close to the front for that last pit stop. So that's our goal right now.
Mate, that's good, but just remember, when that red car gets near you, just shift over just a little bit and let me sneak past.
Yeah, and I'm sure you both wish each other well, right?
Yeah, right.
We do. Good luck, mate.
Thank you,
Thanks,
boys.
Mark.
Marcus Ambrose behind the wheel and Mark Skaife in pit lane. And now thanks for the guys for taking time out as they wind their way down now through the dipper. It'll be interesting to see just how much junk has been left behind on the circuit, and we'll be getting ready for a restart once again.
Hasn't there been a fantastic rivalry between those two, Mark Skaife and Marcus Ambrose? It's been on all year. If I was spoiling for a big fight at Mount Panorama, it's looking pretty good so far.
Fabulous shot of Forrest Elbow.
Lights are out on the safety car.
Lights are out, and you've just got to report through that the ambient temperature's actually dropped a little. It was 19 earlier, it's gone down to 16. The track temperature's 31. I can't see out of this commentary box, but I think there must be a little bit more cloud cover beginning to encroach.
I've noticed that in the last half an hour or so, obviously up around the top of the mountain, started the day with 19 degrees ambient temperature and 26 track, and at the moment it is 16 degrees outside and 31 on the track, and you can see the regulation weather change here at Mount Panorama, and the lights are out on the Audi safety car.
Interesting to look at that shot of car 11, the Castrol Perkins Commodore, by way of our incredible Pit Smart telemetry, which is going through a million different calculations as the day wears on. That Castrol Commodore is looking very strong at the moment.
Remember, at the restart, the drivers must be line astern, single file. They are not allowed to pass until they pass the control line underneath the Bob Jane T-Mart's bridge on pit straight. It catches people out time and again. They forget, they get frustrated by slow cars and they blast up the inside.
This is always a nervous moment too, Neil, with the temperatures have dropped, the tyre pressures have dropped, the car's a little bit skatey in those opening 2 laps.
Cars can be very ugly at the restart as they pressure down the tyres and cool out.
The 46 car in front is the Holden Young Lions. That is down though. The guys in contention race-wise are Larry Perkins and Tony Longhurst. So 2 veterans. Car 11 and car 2 get us underway for the restart. Will it be a clean one? Mark mentioned how many variables come into play after that position. Oh no, Brad Jones and John Bow's entry with JB behind the wheel. Took a slider into turn 1.
That was exactly what I was mentioning. The brakes have cooled out a lot. The tyres don't have any grip. And you go to ask the car for something that it's been delivering to you earlier and it just won't do it. And it catches people out. You've got to be so careful on this opening lap.
There are so many cars, like 13 or 14 cars that are virtually identical on fuel strategy at the moment. The one out of strategy is the Murphy-Kelly car, because that ran through that first stint without going in for fuel. But everyone now on this 3-stop remaining strategy scheduled to come in the high lap 70 bracket. So this is building toward a thrilling central part of this race.
Tony's got a little bit more pace on the back of Larry at the moment in a couple of spots. Great shots looking rearward from the Castrol car. And Kelly's in there in the Kmart car as well, so this is on.
Try and pick a winner out of this bunch. Boy, oh boy. We're only lapped 48 of 161. We've got a long way to go.
Junk on the road here.
All the strategies now are starting to pyramid. So it's getting very, very tight at the top.
Looking rearward from Larry Perkins, car 11, to Tony Longhurst. Larry into his 50s, Tony into his 40s behind them. Rick Kelly recently turned 20.
Bit of a difference. Here's Larry Perkins, the master. It was sad to see him crunch the wall yesterday. And wouldn't it be great to see the grand old man of Bathurst touring car racing get up and score another big victory?
Watch the eyes. He glanced in the mirror. Kelly's having a go at Longhurst here, so Tony's got his hands full. Then Larry looked back down at the shift lights and had another look at the mirror, and he knows he's got plenty of margin there, so he doesn't have to get too defensive. But Tony's got a bit of pressure on him from Kelly, because we know that car is good. And so that means that Tony now has to do a little bit of wandering around, and he'll make a decision eventually, depending on whether he feels like he can either get Larry or whether he should let Rick go. But at the moment, he's real meat in the sandwich. Cito's in there as well, behind in the Cat car. He's in a good spot at the moment, because these guys can all eat each other alive. Here comes Kelly.
He's having a sniff round the inside. Oh, Holden Racing Team, Commodore hard under brakes. They've just into turn 1.
They've just told Tony to let him go. Don't get involved in it now.
So impressive, the speed of this Castrol Commodore. It's interesting in the timing. This team has struggled with a fundamental handling problem with this car throughout the season. Since Larry's come on board as a regular driver again, it seems they've managed to get a second opinion and crack the code.
He's going to get him.
Up the inside, Larry gives him racing room. Rick Kelly sneaks through on the inside. Larry drops back to second.
No doubting the pace of that car at the moment. Tony wants to buy in now because Larry's pace was hurt here. Ooh, dodgy place to do it, TL. Glad that didn't go on.
Oh, Rick Kelly went very, very deep into the cutting, didn't he? Yeah, he was way offline. I bet he absolutely took a big breath there because he was right out near the wall.
Look at Cito, he's right into this as well, and Marcus has gone with him, so this is good stuff.
They've all caught up a lap after the restart.
Well, the little kerfuffle at the front here has drawn these two into the game.
Brake pad window is now open, ladies and gentlemen.
And of this bunch, the fastest runner through the year has been this man here. Rick Kelly's been running all year, but the others are part-timing at the moment. Of course, Glenn's been out there as well. It's been a tough year for him. He's in a different car, but Marcus has certainly had great pace throughout the course of the year. And
still showing the slippery surface. That striped yellow and red flag shows the drivers there are still slippery substances on the race surface as a result of Robert Jones dragging all that dirt on a few laps back.
Marcus Ambrose holding down 5th position. He's behind the car we're on board with in pit lane. In the SBR garage is Russell Ingall, who I guess would be fairly happy. Are you, Russell?
It's looking all right, you know. I mean, I'll tell you what, the first tip was a few fun and games. There was a few keen boys out there, I can give you the strong tip. But look, going really well. I mean, Marcus is back in there, and considering, I mean, you got your second drivers in, you can't really call Marcus a second driver, can you? I mean, he's a man. So, I mean, we're looking pretty good, and I'm sure he'll go probably quicker than I was in the first stint. So, if he can get ahead of this bunch, pull a bit of a gap, he'll be looking sharp.
I'll let you get back to your monitor, because when you do, you'll see that that's exactly what's happening, mate. Marcus has Congratulations.
Cheers, mate.
Yes, thanks to the enforcer.
Glenn was going to go on with it there for a minute, and then he decided against
look
it.
at this! Back!
Oh, no! Oh, just caught it.
Who's in the 8 car at the moment? Is that Thomas? It is, I think. Thomas in the car. That was a
I was just
save.
expecting him to arrow straight off into that Armco. That could have been a monumental crash.
That'd give him something to complain about.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. It's what always happens in these restarts. Everyone's all pumped up. Cars aren't in their ideal race condition.
Who triggered that or how that all unfolded, but he was at a bad angle in pit straight.
Well, they were about 3 wide coming into there. There was a little bit of aggro going on, and it just seemed to unfold a lot worse. Now, oh, there you go. So a tangle with the Triple Eight car.
It's Andrew Jones at the wheel at the moment in that car.
Everyone catch their breath. Rick Kelly leading this one. Larry Perkins in second. Longhurst in third. Ambrose, Seaton, Kelly. There's a whole gaggle of cars running bumper to bumper here.
The 9 car with Noski at the wheels down in 10th at the moment. Stevie Johnson in behind him. Ricard Rydell next, then Thomas Mazira we saw.
Good to see car 17 soldiering on. That had to go for a wild ride across the gravel trap earlier in the day. Let's have a look at this incident on pit straight again. And they're bumped already, and they've bumped again.
Yeah, it's because Andrew ducked out from behind the Rydell car. And I don't think he realised at the time that Thomas was there, and he's given him a short back and sides.
As well, there was room for Thomas to duck in front of the Smiths Trucks machine, because that could have been a monumental crash. Flat out on Conrod Straight. But the worm's eye view here from the front spoiler.
Looking under the back of Thomas's car at the moment, is it? I think it's the VX Castrol Perkins car. And that's...
How close can you go?
We're on board with Garth Tander for that shot.
Yep, car 8, so that was the car that was just in trouble before. Tander sneaks up the inside. And Shell Helix Ford wants to go with him.
34 car's got Whincup at the wheel at the moment.
Plenty of elbows out after this restart.
And this little pack here is so slow. Whincup's last lap was a 15.1. That's what happens when you tangle up with traffic here. Not only that, there's another side effect as well. When you're in these really tightly bunched packs, you virtually sit in a fuel cloud for anything up to 90 minutes. And it's not a very pleasant feeling, I can tell you.
Gap out at the front between Rick Kelly and Larry Perkins is 4.5 seconds. We go back down to pit lane. Daryl Beattie.
Paul, how's the first run been so far?
It's been, for us, just consistent, just hanging in there, and I think Gallery and the Jones car were a little bit quicker at the time. Couldn't quite hang in there with the CAD car, but yeah, happy with that. Just sort of trying to get through the first stint and trying to keep as fresh as I can for a big sprint to the line.
Has there been any adjustments to the car in the stop?
I'd like to do loads, but no, we just, what we've got is what we've got, and hopefully the track will come back to us as the day goes on.
All the best for the rest of the day.
Cheers, Dan.
He sounds a bit downbeat, really, doesn't he? I think he knows that the car at the moment hasn't got the pace, and the comments are telling. I hope the track comes to us later in the day. Incidentally, we've passed lap 48, so the window is now open for the compulsory brake pad stop. One of the things that was curious before was that there was an opportunity for some people, I think, to have actually pulled pads on in that safety car period. Not 100% sure on that one, but if anybody was able to do that, that would give them quite an advantage depending on the way the afternoon unfolds.
So this is a battle for the lead, and it's a beauty. Look at this. Larry Perkins. Rick Kelly's about 4.2 seconds up the road from Larry. This fight for second is just incredible. Perkins, Longhurst, Ambrose, Seaton coming under increasing pressure.
Rick Kelly's extended that lead now to 6.5 seconds. Greg Rust.
Matty, John Bowe has been on the radio complaining of what sounds like something akin to a sticking throttle. And what they believe they've narrowed it down to is the spring on the actual throttle itself. It may be broken. The team have gone and found some elastic like you'd find in some shorts, and during the next pit stop they're going to try and fix this elastic around the roll bar and back around the actual throttle pedal to give it some spring back.
Well, this is the battle that Marcus Ambrose was looking forward to. He's got it served up on a plate here. Locked in a fierce fight for second place.
Very hard to get it done on the inside on the approaches to the cutting. Even with very slow traffic there, you give them a wide berth, because often it looks like you can get through the hole and the hole disappears at the critical moment. Marcus was looking, but he knew that there was no point with that.
Not sure whether Larry's put the cork in the bottle here, but Rick Kelly certainly sprinted away. 6.3 seconds now in the Kmart Commodore. This is the battle for second. It's a five-way fight.
Pretty wise heads involved in all this.
And out in front, a young man with a lot of maturity behind the wheel, Rick Kelly, has a 6.3 second lead. Marcus Ambrose is in position 4 at the moment. Safety cars have played their part. We've had restarts. Flat out back into racing. We need a break. We'll take a breather. Come back to the mountain shortly.
We're back at Mount Panorama, where Larry Perkins, positioned second on the track, is the cork in the bottle like you've not seen for a long time. The cars are squirming everywhere as Jim Richards and in fact, there's Tony Longhurst behind the wheel, and Marcus Ambrose, who just moves up into third place in front of Tony, are trying desperately to unlock themselves from this situation. They're dragging up Mountain Straight now.
Yeah, Marcus being matched for grunt with Larry Perkins, and Marcus is going to find himself on the wrong side of the track here. Coming up to the right-hander at Griffins. Perkins will go through. Longhurst is side by side with Ambrose. Oh. He gets a touch-up.
Oh, that's not what you want. That's not what you want.
Well, Marcus was forced into a bad position then because Larry was so slow across one and out the other side. He got a bad exit, but Marcus thought, well, OK, we'll try and go the other way, but it puts him in the wrong spot for turn 2.
As we've seen so many times in the past, though, these big brutes of motor cars, they don't take an enormous amount of punishment and suspension, and how easy it is to break that that lateral locating device for the rear axle. You don't want to hit like that. Let's have a look at this on the Strathfield replay as they came up toward turn 1.
See, Larry locked a brake and ran wide of the apex, which made his exit slow. So corner exit speed was down. The fact that he hung onto it all the way up the straight is a testament to the grunt that thing has in a straight line, because the SVR cars are going to be pretty quick in a straight line.
He's got him. He's finally got him. So Marcus Ambrose moves up to second position. Will that unleash the hound, so to speak, on Rick Kelly, who now has a 14-second lead?
Yeah, they've all slowed each other up, and Longhurst has let Kelly go through. Bowers in there as well, and Seaton's dropped off the back of this a little bit. Seaton's last lap was a 14.2.
Don't make it easy, do they?
Did you hear that from Marcus? Before that was hard work. He had to get around all these guys who had no intention of letting him past. Now, Tony Longhurst has the job of getting around Larry Perkins, who we know has got a very fast car in a straight line. Seems to be getting bogged down in the turns.
Well, this will tell the story now to see how much ground Marcus Ambrose can make on Larry Perkins. This will tell you whether Larry's slowing this lot up. It's a big queue of cars, though, forming up now. Look at this. One after the other. Let's have a look at how Marcus got in front of...
You had to drive down the dirt virtually here. Look at the filthy side of the track here. But Larry's yielded. He knows that he didn't have matching pace and he's left a gap. Marcus has gone by.
So Kelly, 14 seconds up the road now from Ambrose. He'll have his head down trying to catch the Kmart Commodore, while the rest of these blokes now have to find a way past Larry.
I've just been keeping my eye on the split times now that Marcus is free of that gang of cars there, and comparatively speaking, he's going okay with Rick Kelly's times. But Kelly, while all that's gone on, has now pushed his lead out to 14.1 seconds. Larry Perkins slots back to third. Stephen Richards, his teammate, is in pit lane.
128.
Stephen, I see you hooking into a bit of pasta there. You've been in the car for a while. This is an opportunity to sit back and relax. How important is the diet and your food intake during the day?
Yeah, look, it's pretty important, Grant. I have a bit of a routine that I try and stick to throughout the course of the race, and this is sort of lunch, so to speak, and try and have a bit of fruit and a few bananas and just rehydrate before we get back in the car.
It's been quite an interesting day out there. Larry's back out there, and there's a fair sort of tussle going on at the front. What's it like to just sort of sit back now while you're trying to relax and see all the action going on at the same time?
There ain't nothing I can do about it except tuck into some passes, so it's pretty good from where I sit. He's doing a good job, though. He's hanging in there, and you know, it might take a while for him to get his line and length right, but he's doing a great job out there at the moment.
All right, mate. Well, good luck for the rest of the day, and enjoy that pasta.
Thanks.
Like he's playing golf, getting his line and length right. A big move on the inside from car 17. Stephen Johnson goes past some of the back markers, and while we were talking to Stephen Richards, Todd Kelly took a bite out of another spot from Larry. He moves back to 4th. The order is Rick Kelly, Marcus Ambrose, 14 seconds behind Rick. Todd Kelly in 3rd. Perkins now in 4th position. 5th is Tony Longhurst. 6th is car 21 with John Bowe.
Well, Marcus Ambrose has gone about 4/10 quicker than Rick Kelly in the first split, so now that he's got some clear road in front of him, he's going to try and track down that Kmart Commodore. He's check it on the second split, but I'd say Marcus is a man on a mission now. These leading cars, so many of these leading cars are well matched on fuel and pit stop strategy.
And because of the 2 safety car interventions and the way this has worked out with the fueling, the net position in the motor race is really no different to the lap scoring position in the motor race at the moment. So I don't think there's a lot to puzzle over in terms of strategy right at the present time. Remember that Murphy and Kelly came in on lap 36, Lowndes and Seaton on lap 38. The other key players that we're looking at, including this car here, came lap 45. Cars 1 and 2, lap 45. Car 11, lap 45. And Marcus Ambrose, lap 44.
So Murphy Kelly should be pitting around lap 69, lap 70. So too Lowndes and Seaton. The rest of these guys are going to go to like 78. Based on our calculations at the moment, look at this attack under brakes by the Aussie male Ford, John Bowe.
And now Longhurst as well.
Oh, this has been an unbelievable battle.
And Glenn's half a chance to get him too, because Larry's pace out of that final corner was down. Yep, got him.
Lost 3 positions from the last turn to the first turn, Larry Perkins. He is now down in 7th. Seaton moves up to 6th.
Air temps come back a bit to 19. Track's 30, so the track's remaining pretty constant in that same sort of realm, but the air temperature is varying.
You can see the more cloud cover coming in as the day progresses. When we started this morning, there was not a cloud in the sky. And it really is starting to come over.
These are uncomfortable stints for drivers here because you don't get a chance to play into the rhythm that you need to. You know, you're busy looking in your mirror and you're busy trying to plot away around somebody else. And all these guys are just hurting their lap times so much. It's just Christmas for Rick Kelly and Greg Murphy. They're bolting up the road. 14.7 seconds now is the margin, 1st to 2nd. And a huge number of laps to unfold in this motor race, lap 57 of 161.
Make mention too of car 021. There it goes right now behind car 17, Craig Baird. These guys qualified in 26th position on the road now. They're in 9th. And our prediction corrected. They're holding down 13th, so they've made up a stack of space, Craig Baird and Mark Porter.
Hi to everybody in New Zealand, and the V8 supercars are coming your way later this year for another exciting round at Pukekohe, which is always tremendously supported by the Kiwis who love the category. And you're going to see another bumper show next month when we turn up, and looking forward to getting to Auckland again.
I was talking to Craig Baird earlier in the week. He said the funding is in place for this team to progress to a full blueprint spec VY Commodore for next year. And the Kiwis have got plenty to be proud of. These guys did a very good job. Sandown 4 weeks ago, they had a lot of pace until they were taken out in a shunt. And they've repeated that form here, running inside the top 10.
Isn't that a great shot?
Isn't it just amazing? It's breathtaking. You see it 100 times over, 161 times over, and you never get sick of it. Time to catch up with Jason Bargwanna in pit lane. Have you got us, Bargs?
Yeah, g'day guys, how you going?
Oh, pretty good. You've had your hands full today.
Oh, yeah. It was all happening for a bit there, but yeah, it's a bit frustrating. I suppose the car was quite good actually, and it's just the way it goes.
A few guys have had their say on what happened at the top of the mountain. What's your read on it?
Oh, well, quite simply, I come over the top of McPhillamy right behind David, and I think it was David in the car, and he had a bit of a moment just as we got to the middle of McPhillamy, and I got a really good run on him coming into Skyline, so I moved to the right. I'm not sure if David saw me or not, but he started to come back across, and obviously hard on the brakes down the inside, and it just 2 into 1 doesn't go.
Bugs, what about the incident before that when you locked up the brakes into Murray's Corner? Was that just a brake bias issue?
No, it was actually a bit the same. I'd actually got a run on Mark coming out of the chase there and went down the inside, but I was on the dirty stuff, hard on the brakes, and it just locked the rears. So we just picked that one up, kept going, and yeah, straight away we had another problem.
So how's the Orcon Ford feel overall in terms of its handling, balance and speed?
Actually, really good. The car was quite good and very consistent through that run. Right towards the end, we're doing low 10s and able to push it on. I mean, we're pretty fortunate with a couple of pace cars here that's going to get us back into the race a bit. So if we can just keep our nose clean now for the rest of the day, who knows?
Thanks, Barks.
Thanks, guys.
20th position, the Orcon Ford number 10. There's Mark Larkham, who's out there turning the laps right now on lap 58 of 161. And everything's falling nicely into place for Rick Kelly. He's taken over the hot seat from Greg Murphy and now pushed the Kmart Commodore out to a 15-second lead over Marcus Ambrose and Todd Kelly. The heavyweights have come out to play on race day at the Mountain.
Welcome back to a moment for the Max Factor. Maxie Wilson behind the wheel, and there was almost nowhere to go there for Jamie Whincup, but in the end there was. Max regathers nicely. Not sure if there's any collateral damage there. Those guys have been terribly unlucky. David Brabham and Max Wilson, they were among the 14 fastest cars in regular qualifying, all within a second of each other, so the speed wasn't too shabby, but the strategy and the sheer luck has not been as good. Barrichello on pole for the final round of the Formula One World Championship, coming your way as soon as we finish this major event on your home of motorsport. Mark Webber there of Australia qualifying 6th, and Kimi Raikkonen qualifying 8th. He's the only man who can stop Michael Schumacher, who's starting from 14th, winning this championship. Australian viewers, of course, will be able to catch that action. And welcome to all our international viewers as well who are enjoying this event.
Just thinking, Billy, they should put a spare seat in that car number 18 and take everybody around for joy rides today. Max Wilson and David Brabham, and now Noski in car number 9 and Craig Baird.
This is the battle for 8th place.
Close and personal.
Noski gets up alongside, uses that SBR engine grunt to good use. Rockets past as they come up hard under brakes toward Griffin's Bend. Rick Kelly, Ambrose slowly chipping away at that lead, though. It's down to 13.3 seconds.
Mark Noski teamed up this weekend with the Konica champion in Mark Winterbottom, who did a good job in qualifying in this car. He won of the sessions to get into the top 50%, the top 20 cars. He only had a couple of laps to do it, and they were very impressed at Stone Brothers Racing. We've got a fuel leak in pit lane. Oh dear. That is coming out of the refueling tower. We normally see something go wrong at the hose end, but it's coming out of the main end. That is very, very dangerous.
Robert Smith's pit, running a 2-car team this weekend. And as we saw last year with the Kmart team, the officials here come down here very, very hard on fuel leakage. Grant.
Yeah, guys, you've called it exactly right. No apparent urgency on the part of the crew to find out where it's coming from. They're obviously down there cleaning it up, but obviously a potentially disastrous mishap here. Obviously, you know, fuel and the sorts of temperatures that are around these cars, not just in the engine, but in the brakes and wheels. And, you know, they've come and put wheels down right next to the fuel spill. Yeah. Could have been a big one.
GK, it doesn't look as though there's any damage with the tower. It must have just fed back through the hose and splashed out up the top.
Matty, I can't see anything at all wrong with it. In fact, there's no leak happening now, so they've either drained all of the fuel from the tank, which is probable, and obviously then there's no more there to leak, but it doesn't appear to be damaged. You're quite right. It just seems to have overspilled from the very top. It has run down from the very top lip all the way down the side.
All right, back to racing. That's Marcus Ambrose on your screen, and the times at the top of your screen represent the last 4 laps. Rick Kelly is leading this race. They're the times that he's put down on lap 58, 59, 60 and 61. Ambrose 0.3 of a second quicker on 58, down 0.2 on 59. and then has really been chopping into Rick Kelly's times. The gap when we left you before that break was around 15 seconds. The gap now between Rick Kelly and Marcus Ambrose is down to 12.5.
The wild fluctuations you see in those lap times too are more a result of cars hitting traffic than anything else. Get held up behind a bunch. The other car's running in clear road. He's going to make a big chunk of time up, and then the following lap he could lose the same amount as he hits the same bunch of cars.
Larry Perkins has been pushed down to 14th position, and he loses it at Hell Corner.
Oh no, has he got out of there? Just. Very, very lucky man, LP. We've seen cars get bogged, not going into the gravel trap much further than that. Here's a comparison of the last 4 lap times, as we said.
Between second and third, between Ambrose and Kelly. So Kelly is catching Ambrose, Ambrose is catching Rick Kelly. And the battle at the top 3 is starting to get very interesting indeed. John Bowe keeps pushing out some good laps in the 21 car, the Aussie Male Falcon. Through Forest Elbow, it's up to 4th. We saw that incident in pit lane. Maybe Greg Rust has got more.
Matty, I thought it was just an opportune time to maybe take a closer look and for the audience at home to paint a picture of the fuel rig. At the top of this massive gantry here is a tank which holds 200 litres, which they use for refuelling. Now, the gun teams will actually weigh this unit empty and weigh it when it's full with 200 litres of fuel. You can do that. You can see down here, they've got actually little scales so they can see how much weight has dropped out by weighing it full and weighing it empty. You can figure out what 200 litres of fuel weighs and therefore get a calculation on what each litre weighs and how much has gone in the car during a stop. This thing here is called the dead man's handle. It's spring-loaded. It's operated by a guy during the course of a stop. In the advent of something happening like last year at Kmart Racing, he just lets go of that spring and it stops any more fuel from flowing down through this system. You'll notice it's a Siamese system. In other words, there are 2 entries here which go into the car itself. One is a breather pipe and the other is the filler. Now, when fuel comes up the breather pipe, you may think that the tank is actually full. Sometimes you may be a little bamboozled there because air inside the tank is rushing back up the breather and you can get a bit of a splash up the line. It's an artificial sense of the tank being full. By checking the scales, you can verify exactly how much fuel has gone in. Very quickly, there's a restrictor inside those tanks as well. It can only flow in at a rate of 4 litres per second. So watch for them at the end of today. If they're doing a splash stop, they'll be timing it to see how fast that fuel's going in and how much has gone in.
Good explanation there. 4.2 litres per second it goes into the car. So you can work it out as to how much they put in. 20-second stop with full fuel going in. 84 litres in the back.
Greg Ritter in car 16 in 10th spot now. One of several Holden teams running the old VX Commodore. It's still quite a potent weapon around Mount Panorama. Let's have a look at this Strathfield replay.
Stephen Ellery sideways.
I think it was Yielden.
Yielden behind the wheel, so that's it going up to turn 1.
I saw Larry spin there a couple of laps ago.
He was a bit deeper in, wasn't he, Larry? And Stephen Ellery is waiting to jump back into the car. Helmet on. Approaching lap 63 completion. So we're heading towards the next round in pit lane. Up towards lap 70, things will start to get interesting again. Understand that the Aussie Male second entry car 888 is preparing for its stop, including a pad change. Remember the brake pad window open on lap 48.
This is the battle toward the end of the top 10. There's the Team Kiwi car. Craig Baird at the wheel in 9th. In 10th spot. Noski in the second of the Stone Brothers Fords in front of him. The Stone boys would be pretty happy with that, having 2 cars in the top 10 at this stage.
Greg Ritter continues to show that he's got good form around Mount Panorama. He outdrove his, well, more fancied teammates last year when he was with Shell Helix Racing, finished 7th in Bathurst with Alan Jones, and now he's back in the thick of it again in 10th position with Marcus Marshall.
Curious to look at the state of play in terms of speed. Last lap, Rick Kelly 10.3, Ambrosey 11.1 for Todd Kelly, 10.7 for Longhurst, 11 flat for Bowe, 11.6 for Seaton, 10.7 for Stevie Johnson. So that gives you a bit of an idea as to who's got pace and who hasn't right at the moment.
Oops.
Car number 34.
It's a Tanda Win Cup car.
Jamie Whincup.
Has he clouded the wall? Look where those skid marks start from up there.
He either did or he's missed it by a proverbial. Now a splash for John Cleland and Andrew Jones.
They've done the pad change. Yes. It's like all the pad changing gears on the ground there. So the pad change is now starting to roll through.
Rusty was there. They completed everything there, Greg.
Pad wear doesn't look too bad, guys, at all. It's staggering, the carbon metallic material they use in these pads these days. You could probably almost do the 1,000 on one set of pads. They've thrown some new pads in it. John Cleland went in. Just a little bit of a moment between the two guys doing the front brake pad change. You've got to be very careful that you do that in unison, that when you're using those brake pad pliers, both the guys at the front of the car are pushing back and creating that back pressure at the same time. Didn't slow them up too much in that stop.
Gee, it's interesting watching this battle. Rick Kelly, who's leading this one, he's under attack from Ambrose, but he's responded.
In the recent past, in fact, until the end of last year, we were able to have a little tap on the brake system, which enabled you to get the pistons back in the caliper far quicker than you can now. But if you recall, remember that incident with Wayne Gardner last year where he bumped the tap in the SBR car in practice and drilled the wall at turn 2? Vesco and Tiga determined that it was a little on the dangerous side to have any kind of tap apparatus on the brake system, and this year it's gone. Oh, trouble.
Car 5. That's the...
This will set off a flurry of stops, I would think.
Adam Macro, Darren Hossack car, third of the FPR Fords, and look at the damage. That thing's had a big whack. The rear wings...
A bit shorter in the wheelbase, isn't it?
Yes.
Look at the rear of it.
Making sure that Darren's okay at the bottom of the dipper.
Falcon versus Concrete. Concrete wins.
So he's crunched both ends there. Yes, indeed, every time. That's a nasty bit of damage. Let's have a look on the Strathfield replay. Might tell us the story. Well, he's already in trouble then. Wow.
Glass has gone out of that as well. The whole rear window's gone out of it.
There's a lot of debris on that racetrack now.
Think about what that means in terms of the next round of this championship on the Gold Coast. Only a couple of weeks away, and a flurry of cars head in.
Think of what that means in terms of fuel mileage as well. This is going to stretch another safety car period. It's going to take them a while to clean up all that rubbish.
Thomas couldn't get out. Paul Dumbrell getting in. He was stuck there for a minute. You can rehearse it all day long in the workshop, but you come up here and suddenly it can be a whole different deal.
You expect everybody to take advantage of this safety car and come in and do that brake pad change.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see the race leader come in, because by our estimations they're scheduled to come in about lap 69 for fuel. They might come in now, do the pads, take on gas a few laps earlier.
Hands in the air, by the way, is probably obvious, but it's just to make sure that everybody understands that they've completed their job safely. They stand back and raise their hands, including the drivers. Lets the car controller know precisely the state of play with the work being done around the car.
It's been a great battle at the front, as I said, between Kelly and Ambrose. Kelly responded to Ambrose's attack. He took it back a second. 13.5 seconds was the gap before the safety car came out.
Getting set up at Kmart Racing. I think Rusty's down there.
Yeah, they sure are, Matty. Also waiting at Aussie Mail. That's a driver and a brake pad change. Now, car 34 is in here. They've changed. Whincup is out. Garth Tander is in. But to add disaster to this scenario, for some reason, the pistons inside the caliper have come back out after they've removed the brake pad. So this whole stop has really been slowed up now for Garth Tander. Murphy is in. Here we go for his stop. Kelly out. He's in. This will be a brake pad change as well.
Rusty, are you telling me it actually popped the pistons out of the 34 car?
That is correct, Neil. The pads had come out of the car during that brake pad change, and now they're madly using screwdrivers trying to push those pistons back and get in a situation where they can actually put fresh pads in.
Oh, hell. Well, that's a huge disaster. Generally done if the driver bumps the brake pedal as he climbs in and out of the car or something like that.
This is what generally happens.
Hands up at Kmart Racing, and Greg Murphy will rejoin the race.
Aussie Mail in too, and John Bowe gets out, Brad Jones gets in.
Roll centre adjustment, see the speed wrench.
Full tank of gas, refilling the driver's drink bottle as well. Uh-oh.
Problem.
Oh, they put it down.
Oh, no, this has all gone wrong.
They put it down before they got everything sorted out on the front right. Quickly send it back up, now back down and out. Brad Jones.
Oof, that could have been much nastier than the end result.
Look at this.
Winterbottom car 9.
Looking at each other, the two guys changing the pads at the front, as Rusty suggested before, making sure that they're in sync. Darryl?
Yeah, I'm down here. Winterbottom's just got back in his car. Nossie's got out there. Boys are having a similar trouble here with the pads. Like you said, Neil, I really wonder if the drivers get their foot completely off the pedal. The Pistons were sneaking their way back. Now they've got him in. Everything's fine.
Well, it tends to be a habit, as you know.
He stalled it.
He stalled it. It tends to be a habit sometimes to leave your foot on the pedal, and you can even bump it accidentally as you get out of the car. Rusty?
Might be able to see some vision here. We're back with Garth Tander's car. Look at the frantic work going on with screwdrivers. They're madly trying to push this back. Huge amounts of time being lost here for Garth Tander. What was a fast car and in a very good grid position this morning. Boy, hasn't this gone pear-shaped quickly.
Well, that relates to what Neil Crompton was saying before about a hydraulic tap which split the two systems. There's huge hydraulic pressure sitting inside that system.
Got it in now, finally.
And you try to push it back with screwdrivers. It's a long, painstaking process, and you can see the end result here. They've been there a long time.
Yeah, they can't get this wheel on properly.
And this is the drama when they brought in the compulsory pad change. It adds another extra element of human.
That's the reason it was added.
Yep.
You know, to make sure that you spiced up the show. Emphasis on the team.
Massive pressure on the mechanics.
Phil Curtis from Aussie Mail Racing said to me this morning, you just look at the guys' faces around here. Pressure and tension for everybody, and it's shared with the whole crew.
Well, it looks like Jamie Whincups had a bit of a...
Well, remember, this was the
he did actually hit the wall,
was made with the wall at Forest Elbow.
Yeah. They weren't sure whether he hit the wall, but he's glanced at a bit of force by the look of things.
Oh, it's just a horror for them, isn't it? Look, they're going to have to replace the whole front spoiler assembly as well, apart from the ugly pad stop.
Isn't it amazing here? You can just, this is what happens all the time at Bathurst. You have a car that's fast, it's up right on top of the bubble all week, and you get into the race and it all comes unglued.
You have to run here all day, mistake-free. Everybody in every department in a race team, including the drivers, mechanics, engineers, everybody. And then you've got to get lucky breaks with garbage on the road and traffic and you name it.
And look,
it's got to be mistake-free. And there's obviously been an error made up the top. You can't have errors at this racetrack.
Such a domino effect too at the front of one of these V8 supercars. All these systems are modularised. They're all packed in very tightly. And once there's damage to the front, it tends to knock on effect through the car with coolers, with all sorts of things behind there.
Crunch, smash and bang. It's all part of the Bathurst experience. And you're living it live in your living rooms on your Homer Motorsport Network 10.
This is the V8 Supercar Championship, brought to you by Shell and Big Pond. And for a change, we haven't seen any big ponds on the mountain this year. It's a dry race, a fast race, although having said that, we're still under a yellow flag, and that is why so many cars have come into the pits. This is the Larry Perkins car, was running 6th on the track at the time. After a shuffle of other cars had come in, I might add, Larry had dropped down out of the top 10 before the safety car came out. Big load of Optimax fuel in there. Of course, another pad change.
Geez, there were some rattle guns going there. Sounded like my teeth this morning when we woke up. A little bit different now, nice and warm.
I just stepped outside for a minute, and the conditions are quite nice out there at the moment. It's mild. There's a gentle easterly, might even be a southeasterly. It looks a bit variable. The wind's swinging a little bit. Generally, when the wind starts to swing around a bit here, you get weather on the end of it ultimately, but the conditions are nice out there at the moment.
That Kmart car has shown staggering pace throughout the day. It was interesting looking at the way Rick Kelly was able to build that 14-15 second buffer. Ambrose started to attack, but Kelly was easily able to respond. Here's his brother Todd Kelly, currently 2nd on the road, sitting in the queue.
One question I get asked a bit from time to time about these cars is, you know, what fuel do they run on? Expecting, often people think you're going to give them an answer, it's some super-duper rocket fuel, but it's actually a premium unleaded. It's Shell Optimax. It's control fuel for the entire field. And you'll need probably a whisker under 600 litres of it to get through this 161-lap race.
Here we go.
Our 4th restart. Down pit straight. Marcus Ambrose has the position at the moment. Todd Kelly behind him.
A few lap cars sitting in the queue there. Tony Longhurst there is in 3rd position. Then it's Seaton in the Cat Ford in 4th. Stephen Johnson, tell you what, that Shell 17 Ford is staying in this battle well and truly. Matthew White in the better electrical car in 6th. Magnussen in 7th.
Every time you say that, I think to myself, why does he jump out of the commentary box?
He's a man of many talents.
I'm looking around for a raise.
But this is a fantastic battle, and I'm sure Dick Johnson will be pretty happy with the speed of that 17 car at the moment. It's been well and truly hovering around inside that top 10.
2 cars have found pace in their most recent tests. The 17 car and the 11 car have jumped up into the game at the right end of the year. So the Perkins car and the Johnson car that have been struggling a little bit in the recent past have certainly come good this weekend.
Check in at pit lane, Rusty.
Just down here with John Bowe. During that safety car period, you were talking over the radio to Brad, trying to talk him around this throttle problem. You didn't get a chance to fix it in the pit stop by the sounds of it.
No, I really don't know what I know what the problem is, but I don't know what the cause is. It's when you lift off the throttle, it doesn't come off quickly, so it hangs up, so it runs you into the corners all the time. Occasionally, it sort of sticks, so it's doing 6,000 or 6,500 revs. So I'm never quite sure what it's going to do. So it's very, I mean, it's a few times it nearly dumped me into the fence. As you do some laps in it, you sort of figure a way around it, but it's still, I mean, the car is just fantastic other than that, unfortunately. So, I mean, you know, if I could have pressed on, I could have certainly done, you know, a second and a half or 2 seconds a lap quicker, which would be quicker than the leaders. But so I don't know what we're going to do. It's quite a job to fix it, obviously, because we really don't know what it is. So I don't know whether, you know, the butterflies are sticking in the manifold for some reason or not. So I don't know. It's a bugger, really.
Sure is. Press on, mate, and try and have a nice afternoon.
Yeah, all right, mate. Thanks.
That's a technical term that JB's learned.
Beto, you've kept out of trouble and done a pretty good job in that car.
Yeah, mate. I'd have to say we're pretty happy with it. Our race pace has been sort of running around 10s, 11s, so 8s to 10s. We're pretty happy, mate. It's doing all our stops on schedule, kept it filled, put Mark in the car, and as you said, just got to keep it out of trouble.
Hopefully it keeps going all day.
Yeah, mate, it's just running like clockwork. It really is. It feels better than what it did in qualifying, so I better, maybe I didn't do the right thing in qualifying today, mate.
Nicholas Manassian is spinning around. It's Jan Magnussen in car 45 now.
That was amazing. He picked the throttle up after the lose to try and keep himself out of trouble, but in doing so drove himself into trouble, drove it straight to the gravel trap, so they had to pick the throttle up again. It would have been sitting in there zinging away, and look at all the gravel falling out of it now under brakes at the end of Mountain Straight. It's all tucked up in there in the rear bumper assembly.
Got to say, these guys have been most impressive throughout the day for the twin European drivers. They're up in 8th place at the moment. Let's have a look.
Watch this. He picks the throttle up, which is the standard Euro trait, but then she gets away from him. Whoa, we'll drive her into the sand trap. Hang on.
Now
All gas. So he shifts about 17 tonne of earth here and then fires it back onto the road. And then probably, it's like a little dump truck. It takes about another couple of tonne up the top of the mountain and drops it all over the road in the braking zone for turn 2.
He's available at all building sites coming near you.
Enormously experienced driver, Jan Magnussen. Incredibly diverse career, Formula 1.
Our board's actually showing that Nicholas is in the car at the moment. We're not 100% sure.
It's one of the two.
Just clarify that the timing screen is showing Magnussen.
Got a 50% chance of being right, haven't we?
But it has been a great effort by these guys. Certainly outperforming their more illustrious teammates this weekend. Been all sorts of bother with that brand new car. Team Dynamic. Jason Richards, Simon Wills machine. Of Magnussen, we have confirmed that is Magnussen in the car, position 8, so they're going well.
Here's Ambrose, still ticking away as they go through turn 1.
Let them go through for you so you can pick up the margins. There's the 51 car, that's critical, down in 7th at the moment. Brad Jones, 8th. And there's the 8 car Dumbrell in 13th position. So this gives you an idea of the physical distance between the cars. Time is one thing, seeing the gap is another. Car 10 there, Mark Larkham, is down in 15th position.
Dale Breed and Tony Ricciardello in the Holden Young Lions entry heading up this way where there's
The Magnuson Gravel Company in operation up there on the outside of turn 2.
See the red and white striped flag that the flag marshals are showing there. That's to warn the drivers there's a slippery substance of some sort on the racing surface and to be careful. And there's been lots of gravel dragged onto the racing line today. And as this race wears on, Neil Crompton, we just see this huge build-up of worn rubber and dirt and garbage off the racing line. And toward the end of the day, as we've seen so many times, you step off that and you're history.
Absolute goner. It's a groove that appears in the racetrack. And in the groove, there's a pile of grit because the track continues to rubber up through the day, and you can see it doing it there now at McPhillamy. But get offline, look at that picture in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You see all those little marbles there. And in this particular area of the track, there's gravel off to the side. So look at that. It's a very distinctive race line there. And sometimes you find yourself unwittingly in that position where two cars side by side, somebody's got a yield. You're thinking about all the normal manoeuvres, and suddenly you've got no grip under the car. One of the things you've got to factor into the way in which you attack this racetrack.
So Ambrose and Kelly are locked together like a magnet at the lead of this battle. 2.2 seconds back to Longhurst in third place.
And Glenn Seaton in fourth position, 4.79 seconds behind. Johnson and Love fifth, Canto and White is sixth. Murphy and Rick Kelly, they're in seventh. They're the ones to watch. Take a break on the Bob Jane T-Marts 1000. This is your home of motorsport. Thank God you're not doing weather updates. Understand the car 6 is coming in. Glenn Seaton is about to hand over the wheel back to Craig Lowndes, and you can see just how much Greg Murphy has pace on board in car 51.
Bang on target, according to our pit
this lap.
Strategy. Now, Sito's had a shorter stint because he's running a lot more green flag conditions. The car's used more fuel than it did when Craig was out. So Seaton bang on target here.
That's because of the safety car interventions in that opening stint early in the race. It was pretty chaotic.
Change.
Glenn, make sure your driver cooling's out, mate, and don't forget to plug Glenn's Craig radio in.
Oh, Cito, that was close, I tell you. See, that this is what they don't understand when they're talking to drivers on the radio. Quack, 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 quack. All that needs to be done earlier on the straight instead of when he's trying to get in the pit lane.
Here we go. FPR crew, go to work. Front wheels off, brake pad change, Seaton out, Lowndes in. Everything going to plan so far. Look at the amount of things they've got to hook up on the drivers when they change seats. Seat belts, radio, filling her up the Optimax fuel, and they've run the car right down to the bottom of that tank run as well. Seaton out. And everything looking pretty good so far. Just under 30 seconds.
Very good stop.
Pretty slick. We'll get a pad change away under 30.
Radio check, Craig.
It was all no fuss, wasn't it?
Loud and clear, Dazzy. Loud and clear.
Not a lot of chatter. Not a lot of screaming and shouting.
Mate, thank you.
Yeah, that was a good stop.
Very well drilled.
The drivers were in and done very early. You know, Craig was in and buckled up. Oh, the Bates car.
Oh,
the Noske racing car looks pretty sick going up Mountain Straight here.
That's dumping a ton of oil. Look at that pouring out underneath. Oh, he's got a flame out there too. That looks like a pretty terminal problem under the bonnet of Noske Motorsport Ford. How is he going to be able to make his way around?
Neil Bates bringing it back. It's already patched up.
Yike.
Race tape all over the front of it. And he's doing his best to stay off the racing line.
Now everyone holds their breath when there's a car limping around this track dumping oil, because on so many occasions someone will get caught out by it and we have a shunt. Let's have a look at this on the replay, and that's where she's let go. Big trail of smoke.
And up the top of the mountain, we've got what looks like the Coleman Young Lions. Yes, it is. Breed and Ricciardello.
He's hit the wall there. Look at the damage on the front right.
Yeah. Safety car will come out now.
Full course yellows.
So it will
compress the field once again.
Yes.
Ambrose and Kelly have been having an absolute ding-dong at the front of this field. It never got more than half a second before the yellow flags came out. Let's see if we can... No, he's already hit the wall there. how many cars get caught out coming through Reed Park now. This is one of the trickiest, most decisive parts of the track.
Yeah, it's happened further back up the road here. This is the aftermath. He's run it around the edge of the track. And it's just pulled up on the edge of the gravel down there. Pad stop now for the 17 car.
You always hold your breath when they're doing these pad changes. There's so much potential for human error here. A car that's well placed in the race, one little hiccup. Fortunately, they're in a safety car period. And you can see they've got to use one boom, so the other car has to wait in the queue until the first one's served.
Steve, pump your brake.
So this one
pedal, I've got a pedal.
And the next
okay,
one
hold the green button for 2 seconds, please. Green button for 2 seconds.
See, they've taken to queue their cars again. They did that earlier in the day. They feel there's less net time loss around a long circuit like this than getting in that safety car queue and having to wait to get back into the lane.
Well, you can put 3 or 4 minutes.
Just trying to calculate what the effect is of this on the 6 car.
Yeah, when Craig Lowndes and Seaton did their changeover,
they probably benefit of it, I think. But I'm just going to crunch the thoughts here.
Watch your pit lane speed and pump that pedal up.
heading towards half race distance. And yet another safety car. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th safety car so far.
I was going to say, by the look of things, the driver's still in the car. The Tony Ricciardello's at the wheel. They were running in 22nd position before he hit the wall, and he's still sitting in the car. So he's given it a really hard whack. The speed as they drop through that fast left-hander through Reed Park up toward McPhillamy. Now both the lead cars are in. Ambrose is in. Kelly's in. So this is a critical stop. Pad change for the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Mark Skaife gets in. These are the cars that were battling for the lead. And they've both come into pit lane together.
Just sitting here giving myself a headache trying to work out what this all means. Let's go to Rusty first.
The pads are out on the front right, just waiting for the guys on the left before they go right the way back with the pliers. It's taking a little bit longer on the left. Here we go. They got the nod. Both the guys nod to one another. It's away. Daryl.
The Ambrose car in. Russell Ingles just jumped in the car. Slight adjustment to get to this car to the roll centre. Not that many turns like they had in the previous run. No brake pad change in this car just yet. They said maybe next stop.
Now this is going to be interesting. They're going to get out in front.
Yeah. Track position.
So that was a great stop by the Stone Brothers crew.
And they're taking their pad stop later in the day, which means that they've got to squeeze the calipers back even further. They'll squeeze the pistons back even further.
Reset the fuel, Russell.
Whether or not Lowndes makes an advantage out of this will be entirely dependent on where the safety car picks up the field and how it picks it up, and whether these guys were able to get in at full tilt or were they interrupted by the safety car. It'll play out. Ooh, that was sticky.
This is car 2 now in for its compulsory pad change. And Jim Richards in the...
Can you hear me, Jimmy?
Tony Longhurst just trying to help with a bit of a windscreen clean. But they're taking their time, doing it properly. A fair bit of pressure off because they're doing it under a full polish yellow. And that pump the pedal call comes critical. Look at the temperature in those brake pads. Quite literally. Not only cook your breakfast, you could burn your breakfast on those.
Have you got a brake pedal?
Rusty?
Well, Mark, you can actually see the way it's melted some of this material on the edge of the tarmac and the cement. Look at that. Look how hot those brake pads are.
Yeah, it's burnt a hole right through the middle of the bitumen. Unbelievable stuff.
Just grab hold of them and let us know how warm they are, Rusty.
No.
Under safety car conditions once again in the great race. A couple of cars with heavy incidents. We'll be back at Bathurst after this.
Aussie Mail Racing taking advantage of this full course yellow to try and rectify this constant throttle problem they've had. We heard John Bowe talking about it earlier. And they are trying to put an elastic strap attached to the throttle to hold it, to make it spring back after you depress it. John Bowe said it almost put him into the wall a couple of times because it wasn't springing right back and he couldn't get off the gas quickly enough.
Well, the frustrating thing is, Billy, he said this car could lap a second and a half quicker if he wasn't struggling with this problem. Now, this is going to drop them right to the end of the queue, and hopefully they can get the car out before the safety car comes around. The worst thing they want to do now is go down a lap. So there's plenty of frantic work going on there to get him out before that car comes around again.
One of these cars costs $200-300.
Keep going north.
400,000.
Yeah.
Occy strap. $5 at the local hardware. It's the hottest part of the day right now. 25 degrees, ambient temperature. The track soaring towards 40. Greg Rust.
Matty, I just thought we might try and give a bit of an illustration of the sort of things that can go wrong in the pit stop, particularly after what we saw go wrong with Garth Tander before. Here's the rough basics of what's behind the wheel in a V8 supercar. You've got this massive brake disc, 37.5 centimetres in diameter, staggeringly bigger than that in your road car. Here's the actual caliper, which would ordinarily be against the disc like that. Now the pads sit inside here, and when of course the driver pumps the brake pedal with fluid pressure, it pushes those pads onto the disc, and that's your brake application. Now what may have happened in the case of Garth Tander is that these pistons inside here, if he inadvertently hit the pedal too soon, if the new pads weren't inside the caliper, these pistons would come out and they would be too big to fit the new pads in. Actually, I'm not going to touch those. They're off Larko's car. They're old pads, and let me tell you, they're still damn hot.
Thanks for that description, Rusty.
Brake pad 101 with Greg Russ in pit lane now. A fuel leak or something is leaking now out the back.
Never rains, then it pours, huh?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Well, they're going to get him back out. They really want to keep him on that lead lap. I'm not sure if they finished servicing that throttle. Maybe one of the guys down there can find out. But staying on the lead lap is #1 priority at the moment. So Bradley Jones will put this bush mechanic theory to the test. Just a simple elastic strap. 2 hooks on the end you can buy from any service station.
Where's Harry Firth when you need him?
Exactly. So hopefully that'll work for the Aussie Mail team. This fluid pouring from the front of the crashed Holden Young Lions car.
Yeah, as it's hanging off the side of the tow truck.
So fingers crossed for Brad Jones in the Aussie Mail Ford. It's been one of the fastest cars here throughout the week. Blisteringly fast in the top 10 shootout, pipped only by the Kmart Commodore. And these guys have been right in the thick of things all day.
When you come out of the pit lane like this and you've got to rejoin onto the safety car train, you've got to observe the fact that the yellow flags are out and run at a moderate pace, but you've also got to catch the safety car train. Bradley Jones, can you hear us at the moment? Hello, Bradley, can you hear us? We'll come back to him in a minute and we'll see whether we can get Bradley to pick up the phone.
Looks a bit busy at the moment. And Kim Jones and co are actually just making sure that
See the yellow flags out, so he can't afford to run full tilt. If the body language of the car suggests that he's not observing the yellow flags, they can ping him, but at the same time, he wants to get back in touch with this field.
They were just going back and forth there while we were trying to talk to Brad. He was already conversing with the team to give him an update on the $2 part. That so often can bring you down at Bathurst. Question is, can it hold these guys together literally?
So there's the cue, and Bradley Jones is just at the top of Conrod Straight, so we should catch him up fairly soon. That's going to put him right toward the back. At the back of the queue, in fact, but at least that keeps him on the lead lap.
Yeah, it means your gap behind the leader's okay, but the problem you've got is bad track position with look at the cars that you've got between yourself and the key runners. That's the drama.
That's what we've seen Mark Skaife get tangled up earlier in the day. Massive crowd in here at Mount Panorama today. Beautiful weather conditions, but as you can see, this cloud cover getting thicker and thicker as the day wears on. It was an absolutely cloudless sky when we started. And that's tending to bring the ambient temperature down, which is also helping to drop the track temperature as well.
Well, it's got a fair way to go, I reckon, yet, Marco, as far as conditions go. But right now, we're actually smack bang in the middle of the hottest conditions. 1:30 local time. We're now around 6 degrees hotter than when we started. Ambient temperature and some 11 degrees warmer on the track as they wind their way up Big Pond Mountain Straight. Such an imposing, awesome sight. Greg Murphy is our race leader at the moment. Can you hear us, Murph? Probably just. Hands on the wheel. No, hasn't got us.
I think he's hearing us, but maybe
he's getting feedback. He wants to cut it, guys. Thanks.
So we won't leave Murph there.
Just look at the elevation at this mountain.
It's an amazing circuit, isn't it? Unique in the world.
So many spots all the way around this 6.2k circuit where you can trip over and metaphorically and kind of literally you can fall off the edge.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Look at it. Just unique on the planet.
More than 170 metres up. You don't realise until you see shots like that.
Well, we've got an update from the pits. Daryl Beattie.
You guys, I listened to Marcus when he came in the pits that stop. He spoke to the crew. He actually said that the car was quite unstable under brakes during that stint. They made an adjustment, like I said, during that pit stop to the rear roll centre, and then he said to the crew that we changed the tyre pressures in the rear. The front tyres on that car were really worn bad, and there was a little bit of delaminating on the inside of some of the two front tyres on that car as well. And in general, Marcus seemed pretty happy with the stint and said when he goes out again, he'll be able to make it even better by just using the bars.
Yeah, he's certainly in the zone with that car. We look at the speed when he was locked in that battle with Todd Kelly before this safety car period. They were trading blows in terms of fastest laps. So if they can continue to tune that car to the track and to the conditions and maintain the pace, and we get to one of the typical sprints we have toward the end of these 1,000 races, they'll be well in contention for a win here. Certainly some great contenders still out on that track. A lot of quality cars. And the lower quality cars, as we always see, tend to weed themselves out as the day progresses.
Lights are out on the safety car. He'll guide him through the Caltex chase. Peel off into pit lane. And we'll have yet another restart on race day.
Greg Murphy ready to pounce. That lap car in front of him. Audi safety car peels off into pit lane, and the lap car goes with him. So Murph's got clear road. He's going to lead the pack down onto the pit straight.
Heading up to the control line.
Takes the
trips it over
flag.
now.
Back to racing in the Bob Jane T-Marts 1000. Greg Murphy back aboard car 51. Stephen Ellery back aboard the Super Cheap Autos Ford. Mark Winterbottom now up to third place as they head up Conrod's Mountain Straight, I should say, for the first time.
Marcus Ambrose peels away on the right-hand side. And car number 4, Russell Ingall, is back behind the wheel.
It's been a really good job by Winterbottom and Noski to get themselves up into such a competitive position.
Each one of these restarts is another opportunity for things to go wrong, though. Tyres have cooled out, brakes have cooled down, minds have cooled down. And if you go back through the history of this race in the recent past, Mark, you'll see that it's in these next few laps when the cars are all, in a sense, artificially put back together again, when it all gets crazy. They've got to sort each other out again, you know, sort the quicker cars to the top. They get tangled up with the slower, medium speed cars, and that's when all the craziness unfolds.
In this sort of track condition, how long would it take? How many laps before the car is truly back to its optimum racing situation?
Oh, probably one good hard lap if you get a good clear run on it, maybe 1.5 laps. Doesn't take long for everything to come back to normal, but the big area of caution is probably the first half lap after the restart. And we saw that great shot early when John Bowe had the rears locked up going into turn 1. And you know, all of a sudden you lean on the car like you have on all the previous laps, and it just doesn't have the grip. You can't pull it up. It doesn't load itself nearly as well in the middle of the corner, nor will it put its power down. Little blinker indication then from car 10.
Russell Ingall
just to let Rusty go by.
Yep, that takes up 9th spot for the Enforcer. And here comes the Holden Racing Team. Commodore Scaife right behind him, making up big positions. So he's up behind the Pertec Ford now.
Simply mind-blowing, the speed that they take into that chase.
Murphy, Ellery, Winterbottom, Ritter up to 4th, pretty handily placed in that Team Brock Commodore. Radicic in 5th, Dumbrell in 6th.
Larry in the 11 car, Russell. Larry in front of you.
And you know how much they love each other.
Yeah, the SBR boys just letting Russell know that his former team boss Larry Perkins is actually in control of car 11. And here's Mark Skaife, who's at the tail of the top 10. He's behind Ingle. So Skaife in 10th position. The order reads Greg Murphy, Stephen Ellery, Mark Winterbottom, Greg Ritter, Paul Radisich, Paul Dumbrell, John Clellan, Larry Perkins, Russell Ingle, and then this man, Mark Skaife.
I stood down at the chase on Friday and watched the cars go through, and it was just fantastic, the speed with which they cover that bit of ground down there, and just looking at the liveliness in the chassis and the different ride control in each of the different cars. Certainly the key contenders, big, wide variation of performance down there. By the time you get to this point in the weekend, though, after everybody's had a bit of a fiddle, they all start to look a little bit alike. But early in the weekend, there were some pogo sticks down there.
Murphy, 1.4 seconds to lead over Ellery in second. Another 1.5 seconds back to Winterbottom in third. We're on board with Mark Skaife. Right up behind Russell Ingle in car 4. So the two Stone Brothers Fords very competitively placed at this stage of the race. He's gone half distance.
He's got pace on him, hasn't he? Mind you, Russell's also trapped in under the back of Larry, so that'll also be affecting his lap speed. He's in the hot air of the other car. He'll get a gain from it down the straight, but it also blinds him when he wants to pick his critical braking point. Let's go on board with Mark Skaife. Have a listen to this.
Turn 1. On the limiter down there when it's in the slipstream of Russell's car. He's flat shifting in the straight gate gears, but second to third, Mark used the clutch coming off Forest Elbow just so he doesn't wrong slot it, poke it in first gear.
I can believe how much grunt this thing's got up Mountain Straight. 6th gear on the hard cut approaching turn 2. That is unbelievable.
Lowndes is going with him, and they're all bottled up a bit behind Larry at the moment, whose last lap was 12.1, and that's dictating the pace. Can he get up the inside this time?
Oh.
No.
He had to think about it, Russell Ingle, and then thought twice before Shell Corner.
This is costing these blokes a good couple of seconds on the leader. Murphy's last lap 10.3. Ellery was 11.1. Winterbottom 11.2. You go back down to these guys, 8, 9, 10. They're in the 12s.
Yeah. So once again, Larry's getting a bit of a queue behind him. He's proving a tough customer to pass. That Castrol Commodore's got plenty of grunt in a straight line, and even if he's a little bit slower out of the turns, he can hold them on the straight stuff.
Down in the garages is Greg Kenny with Glenn Seaton. Glenn,
pretty warm out there, mate.
Yeah, it was warm. Naturally, we're going to go back to my open face helmet because we've got a filtering system on the helmet which usually blows air, but it's not working, so I've got a bit warm in that stint, so I'm just going to change back. Got one of those physiological things wrong with me, I think. It's just it's very hard to deal with the heat.
You were telling me before that the heat is not just a problem in terms of, you know, how you feel, but it's actually affecting your concentration as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt when you get to a point where you get very hot, you struggle a little bit. There's no doubt about that, and I want to get back to getting back to the open face helmet, which I don't feel is claustrophobic, and got a bit more breeze around me.
After you've moved to Queensland, you'll be much more acclimatised. You're running 11th at the moment. Good luck for the rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
He's headed north, Cito, now that he's been released of the owner duties. And battle at Forest Elbow.
Skaife's anxious to get past. As two is Russell Ingall. They're both stuck behind Larry Perkins, lap after lap after lap. We saw this earlier in the race. And meanwhile, Greg Murphy, 3.2 seconds the lead over Ellery. He's 3.1 seconds up the road from Winterbottom.
Glenn mentioned the fact about heat and fatigue, but if you factor in this kind of situation, Neil, you've got frustration into it as well, because these guys need to get past Larry.
Well, Larry's fighting for position, though. It must be said. He doesn't have to open the door and say, pass, fellas. They got to work for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mark. You hit the nail on the head there. He's in position.
He's got every right. He's driving a clean line.
Counselling for Russell Ingall from the team. Just be patient. Be patient.
See, Larry's not doing anything dirty here. He's just driving a conservative line.
Yeah, what he's saying is if you've got a good enough car and you're in a good position and you can make a clean pass, go your hardest, baby.
Yep. Now look at this Castrol car. Isn't this thing hauling the mail up the hill? Look at this. He's actually opening a little bit of a gap on the Pertec Ford, even though he's sitting in the draft. He's trying to use that to shoot past Perkins under brakes, but the Castrol car is excellent.
He's a cagey boy.
As well.
He's a cagey boy. He just snuck about 2 feet to the right, then at the critical spot. There's just enough of a disincentive for Russell to not want to go up the inside. You don't have to move very much to occupy the ground. The lights have come on in the number 4 car. Russell's beginning to lose patience, and the boys are starting to all climb on top of each other here.
I guess there'd be oh, he's going to have a go here. Oh. I guess there'd be an engine temperature issue here too, Neil, because I know when you're sitting in that draft, the engine's starting to spike a bit, isn't it?
Particularly if you're 3 or 4 cars back, you can often get a rise of 20 or 30 degrees, believe it or not, because of the amount of hot air that's spilling out the back of the preceding car. And everybody will be seeing that on their telemetry downstairs at the moment. So if you're at SBR, HRT, FPR or at 888 and you're looking at the telemetry readouts down there, I'll bet the eyebrows are beginning to raise. All the data geeks and the engine guys start to jump up and down and get sweaty.
Look at Scaife, he's getting very sweaty. He's closer to Ingall than he's been for a long time, really muscling him as they come out of the elbow. And the thing is, I guess they want to use the draft from the Perkins car if they're going to try and slingshot past, but equally that's staying in that draft and keeping the engine temperatures high, so it's a real juggling act.
See, Larry's got a margin here.
Look at that.
They're not threatening him at all. No. So someone will have to offer up more pace if they're going to get at him.
Perkins in 8th, Ingall 9th, Scaife 10th, Lowndes 11th. Dean Canto is at the end of this 5-way battle in 12th position. And LP shows no signs of giving in.
Oh,
Stephen Johnson,
17.
car 17.
Now, that's just coming out of the Ford cutting. He hasn't made it to the top of the hill, and he's going to try and back it into this gap in the wall.
Last stop for that car was lap 75, so it's only recently been in.
And she is kaput. Not even running.
The next issue with that group of cars that we were looking at is that they're catching up to another pack of slightly slower cars. Here they are here. There's Magnussen, Manassian car, McConnell and so on, and that'll further put some anxieties into this little group here.
Well, this is the story of the lap times. Murphy's done a 2:10.8. He's leading this one. Ellery a 10:7. Winterbottom a 10:7. They're all fine. You go back behind Radicic, and you get behind Perkins, and they're all 12s. So this is a great buffer for Greg Murphy. He's just sprinting away at the front.
Well, within those 5 cars, there's 11 titles shared across the first 4. Larry's got 6, Russell's got 2, Mark's got 4, Craig's got 1. Every single guy on the lead lap wants another one, or their first. The battle for the Bob Jane T-Marts 1000 is now into its second half.
We're back. And there is a number of battles, in fact, going on in the Bob Jane T-Marts 1000. Up front, Greg Murphy looking for a very handy 192 championship points. We haven't mentioned that for a while, but the championship is still alive. Brought to you by VB and, of course, Big Pond. And while we're on that subject, a big thank you to FHM Magazine for their great support of this event in 2003. A 12-page supplement which we trust you at home have managed to grab hold of and inform yourself about the great race. Now, Ellery is in second, Winterbottom third, and you're looking at one of the interesting battles here, Winterbottom versus Ritter.
This is the battle for third place, Billy. It's a beauty. The young guns, Mark Winterbottom, reigning 2003 Konica Series champion. Ritter, he managed to jag a drive with Team Brock after he lost his 00 motorsport gig at the beginning of the year. And they are locked in an absolute ding-dong here. Stephen Ellery in second, just up the road from him. Murphy is 6.4 seconds in front of the Super Cheap Autos Ford, so he's got this by the throat at the moment.
Shell Helix race score going across your screen tells the story. Richards and Perkins, Larry in 8th, then Ingle in 9th, Scaife in 10th. And I can tell you that as the cloud cover starts to get thicker, the temperatures are heading downwards. 22 air temperature, 33 track temperature. In the last 15 minutes, both of those have dropped around 4 degrees.
Murphy last lap 10.4.
Good buddy. It's got
10.4. You're an idiot. 10.4 for Stephen Ellery. 10.6 for Winterbottom. That was.
Oh, that was close. That was too close, Stephen.
10.5 for Ritter. 10.9 for Cleland. 11.3 Dumbrell. 11.7 Radisich. 11.7 for Larry.
He is pushing very, very hard on this car.
12.9. Scaife 13 flat. Canto 13 flat, who is the one threatening Scaife, and Lowndes 12.7. That's the pace of the key runners at the moment.
Ellery's got a sniff of the lead here. He knows Murphy's 6.5 seconds up the road, and he is pushing very, very hard. Look at the amount of tape and the attitude on the car. 2 wheels off the deck, dumps it on the outside wheels through McPhillamy Park. He is driving every lap like a qualifier here. 29 years of age, Stephen Ellery. Outstanding performance to climb onto the podium at Sandown 4 weeks ago. But he put in an equally impressive drive here back in 1996 with Tony Longhurst. He did a back-to-back stint as a relative unknown and got that car third place on the podium. So he knows how to motor around here.
I can't remember the precise year, but there was a year only, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, where he was very quick here as well. Ultimately, I think he ended up in the wall at one point down at Forest Elbow, but he has been very, very quick here in previous years, and he's in a good, fast rhythm here at the moment. That car's flying. Grant?
Dick Johnson, the number 17 car, what's happened with it? It's parked up there.
Well, apparently there's some electrical problem there somewhere, but he's got out and had a bit of a fiddle under the bonnet, and they've just told me that he's got the thing going again, but obviously a couple of laps down, which will sort of put us towards the back, but the only thing I'm pleased about, at least we got some car speed.
Yeah, it has been going quite well today, hasn't it?
Well, we've had a very trouble-free week, but then come the race and you have all these sorts of problems, but that's just the luck of the game, I think.
I think it's fair to say there's still a long way to go, so good luck and press on.
Long way to go, but I'd like to think we can pick up 3 laps, but I doubt it.
Thanks, Dick.
Okay.
That's a very rare occurrence for someone to have a problem, driver to get out and fix it and actually get mobile again.
It was like that in the old days. They actually had to fix it. That was the regulations in the original Bathurst 1000s or 500s.
Could be a demarcation dispute over this.
These split times will show you the difference between third and fourth. 0.3 of a second between Winterbottom and Ritter.
As a result of that moment Steve Ellery had in that previous lap, it's allowed Murphy to pump it out 6.6, but Steve's holding his own here in this battle for the lead.
Chaps, I'd have to tell you that, oh, look at this, Scaife really keeps nailing the back of Russell's car. After being in this thing for the last 15 or 16 years, the race day when you're in a race car, a team seems to go in about 10 minutes, but I can't believe how long this race is when you're sitting from this perspective. It's a totally different deal, isn't it?
Just make sure you are on main fuel pump, Steve, so we don't run right out of fuel. Over.
Larry Perkins is still leading this little freight train of 5 cars, and Russell Ingall is yet to get past LP. Marcus Ambrose in pit lane. Marcus, any word back from Russell?
No, he's pretty quiet. He's pretty busy back there. When I got up to Larry Perkins with Tony Longhurst there dicing with him, you know, you had to be really careful there. It's pretty dicey stuff. So, you know, Russell's, I think, trying to be on the safe side of cautious, if you like.
It's a difficult situation, Marcus, because you've got Larry Perkins there. He is fighting for position, so even though he's holding the car up on occasions, you've actually got to fight your way past him.
Yeah, exactly right. We're slightly out of sequence with some, and I think we've got a pretty safe strategy now for the fuel for the rest of the race. But guys like Larry, who are slightly different in their race strategy, find themselves in position. So, you know, even though he's wobbling around maybe a second slower than us, we have trouble getting past him. You've got to be really careful this time of the race, because any damage now is just going to absolutely destroy your chances. So we've got to get through the next stop, and we'll probably do another driver change and see if we can jump in front of these guys in the pit stops.
And Marcus, I've got to say that the performance of your teammate Mark Winterbottom, fantastic to see that car up in the top 3.
Yeah, he's going great. He really is. You know, he's got a great potential, and you know the team have got right behind him and really support everything he's doing. And Mark Noski, who's partnering him as well, you know, he's done a great job. Don't forget that he did a really good stint just gone. So they're going pretty tight on fuel, though, I've got to say. You know, they're going to be touch and go to the end.
Okay, mate, thank you.
Thank you.
Get ready for his next stint.
Oh, you can almost feel, you can almost see the steam coming out of the ears, can't you? There's a lot of frustrated drivers in this queue here.
You can't afford to be, though.
The queue's getting longer and longer, Marco.
And the way Russell Ingall was weaving.
Oh, there's a car. That was the 888 Aussie Mail car pointing the wrong direction on the exit of the cutting.
That's in a pretty... Oh, has he got going? Yeah. Wow.
He's going the right way. John Cleland.
I wonder what happened there. Lose coming out of the cutting.
Well, that'd be a bit of a shock when you came out of the cutting and saw that thing looking at you on the right-hand side of the road. But all of these guys are pretty good at concentrating in these circumstances. We'll come back to that, though. Let's have a yak to Rusty and see what's happening.
Well, Neil, the word emerging from the Aussie Mail pit is that this may be the same problem that's affected the 21 car, some sort of spring problem in the throttle, and the throttle may have stuck and caused John to go off like that. So they're trying to figure out, they were hoping he could stay out for at least another 10 laps before he pitted and before this incident.
Bit of an issue.
Bradley's climbed onto the back of this queue. He seems to be cruising along there okay. Hopefully that throttle linkage has been fixed. Now let's look at the Strathfield replay. Car just breaks loose.
Yeah, that's easily done in that spot. The chopper doesn't show the little rise in the road. Normally you need to short shift there as you make the gear change from second to third. By short shifting, I mean you don't take the car to the full 7,500 rev limit. You might change up at 6.5 or 7,000 so that the car doesn't snap when you make the gear change. And obviously if there is a throttle problem, then that has affected him, as the PlayStation race score shows the order at the moment. Hope you're enjoying this fantastic lap 90 of 161 Bob Jane T-Marks 1000. We're back with more right after the break.
Well, if you've ever tried to steal a bone from a cranky old dog, then you'll have some idea how Russell Ingall, Mark Skaife, Dean Canto, Craig Lowndes and even Brad Jones now are feeling behind Larry Perkins. He is shutting them down in the Bob Jane T-Marks 1000, and they're about, in terms of track position, 8 seconds behind the car in front of them. Paul Radisich. A couple of very notable performances here. I might mention Paul Dumbrell. Larry's second car has slipped out of the group of cars in front of this mob here, so we're not sure what the problem is there. We're chasing that up for you, but the top 5 is Murphy, Ellery, Winterbottom, Ritter and Radisich, and then we've got this freight train at the head, headed by Perkins. Now Dumbrell's back in the pits.
What a shame. We saw the car limping up Mountain Straight. He was running in 6th position. Excellent 6th outright. And I believe they're going to do a pad change. Grant Kenny's there.
They are indeed, and I've just spoken to Thomas Mazera. He is unsure of the problem. He did say that the car they thought had hit something. Now what's interesting is that they're all of a sudden, as the car was sort of making its way down here, Thomas suddenly jumped up and is now throwing on his helmet and getting ready to get in the car. Paul Dumbrell is now out of the car, but they have shut the car down, so I'm not quite sure at this stage the extent of the damage.
Oh, what a shame. You can see the contact there on the bodywork. Let's have a look at the replay, and we might be able to unlock the mystery here.
There's the Thexton Voigt entry.
Oh, no.
Car 99.
Oh, that doesn't look like it's enough. There would have been enough damage to stop the 8 car.
You can see where they've rubbed. Not quite sure if that was what was the situation. Anyway, we'll find out.
Bad luck there, mate. What happened?
Mate, I guess, you know, what happens here at Bathurst, you know, have a fair few slower cars, and David Thexton, we followed him for nearly a lap, who's holding us up, and unfortunately, just moved right over and crashed into me, which is a shame because our car was running really, really well today, and Thomas was going to jump back in and do a good job.
You were going well. What's the extent of the damage? Have you been able to assess that yet?
We'll be in the pits for a little while, unfortunately, but unfortunately, we'll just have to watch the number 11 Castrol with Larry and Richo hopefully wrap up a win this today.
There's a lot of work going on in the wheels. What did it feel like? Something in the steering?
Yeah, just bent steering, which obviously I tried to continue to push on for a lap, but couldn't, so we had to sort of park and hopefully get fixed, get a few more miles.
I guess the other thing there, trying to push on after a hit like that, of course, there's an element of danger that something may break, and you're really talking about high speeds there.
No, I have full confidence in the boys. You know, they won't send the car out unless it's 100% safe. So, you know, it might be a bit of a touch-up steering later, but you know, we've got to get back out here, get some more miles, and obviously for Castrol and Holden, you know, we'll hopefully get a bit more TV exposure as well.
Hold umbrella, all the best.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, what a shame. That was a very, very quick car. The ex-Commodore around Mount Panorama, still a very good package. It's very easy on its tyres. It's a car at the end of its development, still a very, very quick car around Mount Panorama. Now, looks like Scaife has got in front of Russell Ingall, or he went away. And we'll have a replay of that coming up pretty soon. Let's have a look at how this happened. Well, they're coming up around lap cars, and Mark Scaife, always the opportunist. Look at the way he threaded the needle there. Ingall went wide, and Scaife went right through the centre. Let's have a look at from Scaife's viewpoint.
Forest Elbow, and Rusty went the long way, and Scaife
right through the middle. Look,
yeah, look at that. Ingall picked it wrong and dropped a spot there just at the wrong time. Lansvale car was just running slowly at the apex at Forest Elbow before the run down the straight.
Second of the Orcon Fords in as well. Murphy still leading this, 7.8 seconds the gap over Ellery now, so he's been pumping it out all the time. Here's Larry still leading this pack of cars. I just wonder if there has been a decision made. Now, I know Larry's going to come in fairly shortly. Do they just stay behind until he peels off?
Nobody ever wants to stay behind in this business. There's an urgency to always get on with it. But, look, I think this may freshen it up a little bit in the sense that Scaife will have a crack at him now, and he may... What happens often... Oh, look at this Scaife. He's not going to put up with it. He wants to squeeze under here. He's done it.
Got it.
And now Russell wants to have a go as well. I was about to say that cars can be doing a similar lap speed, but they can have strengths and weaknesses in other places. Now Russell's better positioned. He'll get it done this time. And,
Scaife was pretty... Right. Character reference from mid-pack there. But I keep repeating it. Larry is fighting for position here. He's still in contention in this bunch. So Scaife, a couple of karate chops there. He fought his way through pretty fast. Ingall went with him.
Grant, what have you got?
Cam McConville, the car's in the garage. That's never a good sign.
No, the clutch just started slipping, Grant, so I thought I'd be able to get away with it, but slipping in every gear now, 100% throttle just slips all the way up to 6 gears, so that's our race.
The boys are working frantically. Obviously, they are hoping to get it back on the track, but you will have lost far too many laps, I assume.
Yeah, well too many, but yeah, we'll get back out there, we'll change the clutch, but it's frustrating. The car had really good speed. We went down a lap earlier, but we were able to run with the pace of the top 10 guys, you know, but anyway, that's such as life, mechanical device.
Once they fix it, go and have some more fun for the afternoon.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Cam.
A lot of fun to be had if you're that far out of the game. And that was the reason why Cam was travelling so slowly when he split the pack up there at Forest Elbow and Russell went the wrong way.
So Larry falls back into the clutches. Canto down the inside in car 66 now. He's getting swamped by these guys. Lowndes is there as well.
So this is back around a lap or so, and did Mark Scaife give Larry a little bit of a touch-up?
Well,
it wasn't much.
If he did, it was just a love tap. But he got past cleanly not long after. Lowndes passed as well.
And after all that, Russell Ingall was trying to get past for so many laps. Scaife gets past Ingall, then gets past Perkins. Lowndes gets a little bit loose through the chase, and pretty much, as far as Larry's concerned, the floodgates have opened. Now car number 2 has a crack as well and gets by at Murray's Corner. Greg Murphy is our race leader in the Kmart Commodore. He's got a 7.5 second gap over Stephen Ellery. This is the Bob Jane T-Marts 1000. And we're in the cockpit with Greg Murphy, our race leader, 7.3 seconds clear of Stephen Ellery. And that game of snakes and ladders that Larry Perkins and co were playing for quite a few laps there has now, as we mentioned, unlocked. And Larry has stepped on the snake and started sliding back. He's back in 12th position at the moment. The other thing that's sliding is the temperature. Outside dropped down to 19 degrees now. 28 degrees on the track, so it's going down, and we do get reports that the cloud is building up around us, and in that build-up of cloud is a little bit of moisture as well. Greg Rust.
Matty, just down at HRT at the moment. I'll find out for you a wind direction and speed shortly, which might give us an indication of what's going on with the cloud cover and any imminent weather. But I can tell you that Rick Kelly is currently on standby at Kmart Racing. He's got the gear on, and I'm told within the next 10 laps we can expect Murph. Rick will do one stint. Murph is expected to do the final one.
Fabulous shot of the on-the-wheel telemetry, that readout that Greg Murphy's getting throughout this lap. 2:10.13, you can see that there. The lower page represents his last lap.
And above that is an instant readout for revolutions per minute. So he's up in the high 6s, just over 7 there. Murph's a left foot braker. Shift lights across the top of the wheel, there they are illuminating, and they stage. Each team can set the staging on those. And then the other data will be personalised, and you can change that information. There'll be a page changer. There it is down the bottom left-hand corner of the steering wheel. See, it's down on the down near the D shape of the wheel there. And Murph can cycle through whatever the boys at Kmart Data have decided to put up there for him. You'll probably be able to look at water temperatures and pressure. I can see lap readout up there, so it shows what lap they're on, the top right-hand corner of the wheel. And there'll also probably be a gear position sender up there in the middle as well, so it'll say 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever.
Tell you what, this is an absorbing battle for the lead here. Stephen Ellery is not letting Murphy go. He's matching him lap after lap. He was a fraction quicker that time. 7.3 seconds the gap. It hasn't changed for several laps. So Ellery is hanging on like a bull terrier here in second spot in the Super Cheap Autos car. Murphy leading this one. Winterbottom, all those lead cars only have 2 more fuel stops to make.
Remember, at this race, 8 people are allowed across the line to service the motor vehicle.
Here comes Ellery now. He's peeled off.
6 people in a normal championship round.
This is bang on target too, according to our PitSmart estimations.
Straighten her up the pit, Steve, so she's nice and straight.
98 laps in the bank. Ian Walburn talking to Steve.
Walburn is good value on the radio.
Isn't he great?
I like
so
Wal on the radio. Yeah.
No matter what's going on out there, he just talks in this very flat monotone, doesn't get the driver excited. Luke Eildon now will jump in for probably the most important racing stint of his life so far. He has really got to get his head down in this battle with Murphy and all those